Welcome to Jerry's Fish Room.
Hey guys, welcome back to Jerry's Fish Room. Thank you so much for joining me. Missed you all last week. I know I didn't get a video out there, and I'm trying to be consistent each week. Was just a little tied up this past couple of weeks with some honeydew stuff around the house, getting a little rework or remodel done. And so that just kind of tied me up a little bit. And so anyways, we're back, and thank you so much for all of you guys that have been watching. Thank you for those that have subscribed. And we're going to talk a little bit about one of the most important things a fish keeper or an aquarium hobbyist could pay attention to, and that is his water parameters, or his or her water parameters. So the question is, when I first got into the hobby is, all right, how do you take care of these fish? And one of the things they told me, my pet store, local fish store, kind of said, pay attention to your water quality. And we'll talk more about that in future videos. But how do you measure? What are some of the things we need to look at? And those items that we have to keep a close eye on are your ammonias, your nitrites, your nitrates, your pHs, your chlorine, those types of things that are in your water. Water hardness is another one. And so the big question is how do we track those things? Well, when I started looking into it, it was like, holy cow, there are so many test kits available. So many different test kits. How do you know which one's the best one to use? So I have a couple of them here that I have used. And then I have the one that I'm currently using pretty consistently now. And so I want to talk about those specific test kits and a little bit about them, and then maybe just give you enough information at the end of this video. You'll be able to pick the one that's best for you. Now, as we go through these guys, again, man, I'd love to know what you're using to check your water quality. Let me know your likes and dislikes on each of those, and looking forward to learning from you. So the first one I want to talk about is the API test strips. This was the one that I got involved with first. It's a 5-in-1 test strip. It tests for your nitrates, it tests for nitrites, it tests your pH, it tests your KH, and then it tests for your GH. And so those are the 5 things that this one tests for. It doesn't test for chlorine, and it doesn't test for ammonia. So if you want to test your water for chlorine and ammonia, you'll have to get additional test strips. Now with these test strips, you basically, reading the back here, it says to stick it, and we'll do this in a little bit. I'm going to show you exactly what each one looks like. But basically take it, swirl it 2 times in your water, and then on the KH and the GH, you can read those immediately, and you'll understand a little bit about what your water parameters are. On the other 3, your nitrate, nitrite, and your pH, it says to wait 30 seconds and then read that. And so this is your 5-in-1 test strips. Again, not sure. You'll have to get a couple of other things if you're looking to keep track of your ammonia, which ultimately we want 0 of anyway, and your chlorine. So that's the test kits. And then I got talking to some of the hobbyists, and they turned me on to basically the chemical test kit. I use the API Freshwater Master Test Kit. It tests for pH, both low range and high range. It tests for your ammonia, it tests for nitrate, and it tests for nitrate. Again, now on this kit, you can test for your ammonia, but you're not going to be able to test for chlorine. You'll have to get separate strips or separate test kit for your chlorine. However, you know, if you're treating your water with a water conditioner, you know, very rarely do I ever test for chlorine. I do it periodically at my house because I have a filtration system on my house when I bought it. It was a water softener slash filtration system, carbon filtration. And while I've disconnected the softener part because I keep Africans, and last thing I want to do is take everything out of the water and put it back in the water, I do still have the carbon filtration on it. So I periodically check for the presence of chlorine just to make sure that, you know, to make sure that my filtration on my house is doing what it's supposed to do. Now, with that being said, I always follow, I like insurance. I like a little extra safety or protection. So even though I do not have chlorine in my water, I still use a water conditioner. I personally am using Safe. However, I think that's something I'm going to look into a little bit. Safe is a great great water conditioner. The type I use has some aloe in it, so that helps the slime coat with the fish. But there's the you know, there's Prime and all of those others that are out there. I have not used, but I'm willing to reach out and just kind of get in there and try. But again, with my situation, for the most purpose that we're using our water conditioners is we're trying to make sure we remove the chlorine, and that really isn't a problem for me. So again, you know, I'm going to just kind of ride out where I'm at for right now. But this system is a little bit different. One of the, I guess you could say that I was told it was going to be more accurate than your test strips. But one of the things that is a little bit bothersome for me is the time it takes to do the chemical test kits. In most cases, and we'll go through them individually, but in most cases, they take about 5 minutes for them to sit before you can read them. And if you think about it, you know, you got pH, ammonia, nitrate, nitrate. Unless you're really, really good with a stopwatch or something, you're looking at about 15 or 20 minutes per tank to test. Now, I have 7 tanks, and if I'm going to do that, you know, you're looking at a couple hours just in testing each of these tanks. And so I do have this. I keep it around just because every now and again I like to run a test. But again, we'll take you through that process on the Freshwater Master Test Kit. These are a little bit pricey. I think I paid $25 or $30 for this. Whereas the API test strips, I think I paid about $10 for them on Amazon. You can check me on that pricing. And then the last one, which I just got introduced to, again, because I like to try new things. And I absolutely, as you can tell, and this is not sponsored by anybody, I'm a huge fan of Aquarium Co-op. So with that being said, the co-op, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago, they came out with their own test strips. And so I wanted to give them a shot and see how they would go. Now, Co-op's test strips will test for nitrate and nitrite. They test for the water hardness. They test for the buffer. And they test for, which is your KH. And they test your pH. But this also has, which I do like it, because again, when I want to just randomly check my tap water, it has chlorine. I will speak that correctly here. It tests for chlorine as well. With this test strip, the biggest thing that you do is basically, they say dip it, swirl it around 3 times. or 3 seconds, one of the two, and then wait 60 seconds. And they specifically say 60 seconds is when you're going to get the most accurate reading on these test strips. Now, all of these test kits, the test strips, the test master test kit, the chemical kit, they all, you read them by the color, what color you get that is produced at the end of the timeline that they put on it, and they give you a little key to look at. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's what it looks like on the back of the Aquarium Co-op's test strips. Now, this is about 200 test strips, and I think I paid somewhere, I don't remember, $15, $20. Again, I apologize, I haven't done the research because I have bought these a while ago. And again, one of the things I love about them is there's 200 test strips in here. I have 7 tanks, and I can do this pretty much. I test every tank once a week, basically right before my water change. And then one of the things I'm doing that just to get an understanding a little better on my tanks is I'm recording all of my results. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to graph it, take a look at it from a standpoint of 7 days, 8 days, 10 days, just to get a good feel of, what kind of results am I getting? How long do I need to be between water changes to keep all of those nasty things like nitrite, low, so that my fish can survive. The other thing I wanted to mention is, if you'll look, let me get up here kind of close. This is the back of the API Test Kit, and you'll see all the different colors. But one of the things I absolutely love about Aquarium Co-ops, when I put it up there, let's see if we can get it into focus, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's little brackets and little words right above certain colors. And those things are kind of like that caution flag in NASCAR. If you're in those areas, it's telling you to take a pit. Go to the pit stop, and you need to do a water change, which is tremendously helpful, especially for those beginner fish keepers. When I got in this hobby, one of the things that was absolutely driving me crazy was I would watch YouTube videos. I'd hear how people were keeping their tanks, and you get these people that are talking about keep the nitrates down to below 20 or try to get 0 nitrates, and you're just chasing your tail quite often trying to do this. And so that's one of the things I absolutely love. Of course, I've done a little more research, but I realized that, if I have 20 ppm of nitrates in my tank, that's not a bad thing. Those fish are okay. Those fish are not in bad shape. Now, there are going to be some people that may not be a fan of what I'm saying, but if you read the back of the co-op strips, it's telling you that little bracket, that warning sign that, hey, let's go to the pits. It's saying at 100 ppm you need to change your water. Now, I personally don't get it that high. I won't get mine that high. I want to keep mine as low as possible. But if my nitrates are 50 to 60 tops, then I'm looking at doing a water change. I don't like to see it get to 100, but here's the reality of it. Not saying that you should do it on a regular basis, but it's okay if it happens to creep up sometimes. Life happens. People, things, get in the way sometimes, and not necessarily get in the way in a negative way, but you have to do life, and sometimes you may miss a water change, and it's not a tremendously bad thing if your nitrates get up a little bit, as long as you jump on them pretty quick. But again, I love that about co-ops with the for beginners as well, especially just kind of that warning sign. So guys, what I want to do now is let's take a look at these things in action. Let's see what kind of results I get, because that's one of the things that I always was curious about is, the bottom line is you can only trust the source concerning accuracy of these tests. So the best thing that we as as fish keepers can do, is check them out, get a couple different ones, compare the results that you get, and see if they're relatively close. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go ahead and take a look at all of these. We're going to take a look at the readings, look at how you do it, and we'll go from there. All right, we have the Freshwater Chemical API Test Kit. As you can see, it comes with a bunch of chemicals and some test tubes. There's the nitrate. There are 2 bottles for the nitrate. There's 2 bottles also for your ammonia test. And there's a sequence you have to put each of those in. Then there's a high range pH and a low range pH, as well as your nitrite. And then in the very front, you'll see a pull out a instruction manual. It's in a couple of different languages, but on the back is your test kit results, the colors that you need to match up the test tubes to. And there's 4 test tubes to that. All right, we're going to start with the pH. On the right is low range, and on the left is the high range. I'm going to choose the high range pH because I have harder water here in Florida, and so I'm going to just start with that. So you put the number of drops in the test tube. Each test tube has a line on it, and then you, with the pH test, you shake it, and then you immediately compare that to the card for the color. And there you see the high range pH. It's kind of that light brown, and so that's ranging in about 7.4 to 7.6. All right, so now we're going to do the ammonia. Again, there's 2 bottles to it. Fill your test tube up to the line, about 5 milliliters. Put in, I believe this is 8 drops of bottle number 1. Put the cap on it, and you shake it up just a little bit so that it's mixed in there pretty good. And then you grab the second bottle and you put 8 drops of that second bottle in there as well. Then you kind of mix it again and then let it sit for 5 minutes. All right, so here we are with the nitrite test, and we'll do a video at one point doing talking about the nitrogen cycle, but you put 5 drops of this in, and again a quick shake, and then let it set for 5 minutes, and then come back in 5 minutes and check it out. Alright, so after 5 minutes you just pick that test tube up, compare it to the nitrite column, and as you can see it's light blue, which that means 0. Now we're going to go on into the nitrate. Nitrate again is 2 bottles. Bottle number 1, I believe you put 10 drops of this in the test tube, and then you cap it and give it a quick turn or shake to mix that solution up. And then this one's a little different test. On the second bottle you need to look at your watch because they say shake it for 30 seconds before you add the 10 drops to the test tube. So I'm finishing shaking that up for 30 seconds, add those 10 drops to the test tube. And then you'll have to take this, and this is critical as well, shake the test tube for 1 minute solid. So that way you can just kind of follow through with what the instructions are. And as you see, the colors are already starting to turn. Then you go ahead and just set it down and let it sit there for 5. All right, so as you can see, this is after 5 minutes, and that test is running for the nitrates on that is somewhere between 40 and 80. They're both kind of a red color, and so kind of put it in between the both. Alright, so now the API test strips. Again, this is a lot less time than the chemical test strips, or excuse me, the chemical testing kit, where almost every one of those was 5 minutes. But you take one of those bad boys out and dip it in the water, swirl it around a couple of times, and then set it down face up, so don't shake the water off of it. And then 30 seconds later, come back and take a look at your results. So with the KH on this was 120. The GH we're sitting at about 180. 0 nitrite, which is what we got on the master test kit. And the color on the nitrate was between 40 and 80, which is similar to what the master test kit provided. pH was in that 7.5 to 7.80 range, so we're not too far off of what the pH was on the major test kit, the master test kit. All right, the Aquarium Co-op strips, same thing as the API. Swoosh, set it flat, but with Aquarium Co-op, let it set for 60 seconds. Then once the 60 seconds is over, pick up your results and read them. GH for this test was 150-ish, KH was 120, pH was 7.6 to 8.0, and our nitrates were right at around 50 parts per million. So all three kits tested out pretty close to the same. All right, guys, welcome back from doing that walk with me on running these test kits. And man, I tell you, again, I think overall one of the biggest lessons I learned through this, and I'd love to again hear your comments below, is the fact that the reality of it is, at least in these three tests, they're all fairly close to the same in what they read. And so because of that, you know, again, I spent the money, I invested in this bad boy, you know, but I'll keep it around for random checks when I have a little more time on my hands. But for the most part, Aquarium Co-op test strips, they do it for me. I really enjoy them. And again, they have the chlorine in there, so and that really tremendously helps me just again keeping a track on my water system because of the filtration system I have on my house. So you know, whether you're a person that likes the API, I think Tetra has one out, Aquarium Co-op, the API fluid, the chemical kit, because you're one that thinks that this is the most accurate way of doing it. Here's the thing I've learned about fish keeping. Fish keeping is one big gray area. There is no black and white when it comes to fish keeping. There's a lot of room in the hobby to like and dislike different things. And so one of the things I love about it is we're all individuals. We're all different people. And so because we have different personalities, we like to do things a different way. And that's what I love about fish keeping. Jerry's way is not the right way. Jerry's way is only one of a million ways to keep fish. And so for me, I'm going to stick with the Aquarium Co-op strips. Again, I'm going to keep recording my time, or excuse me, my results. And we're just going to go from there. So guys, again, if you like the video, man, please reach out, hit me a thumbs up. I'm trying to get to 50 subscribers. I know that's not a lot. We're at 46. Thank you to those 46. Help me get to 50 if you see this and you like it and you want to watch future videos or even the ones I've already recorded. I'd greatly appreciate you guys to subscribe. And again, hit that bell, ring that bell so that you can be reminded or get a reminder every time I post a new video. And I promise I will try to do better to be consistent every week. Last note, do me a favor, send your prayers out to Mr. Ben Ochart, who had a little bit of a biking accident. He's okay, everything's good. He's just off the channel right now for a little while, and you know, send your thoughts that way. Would greatly appreciate it. He's one of my good friends, and really appreciate him. He's doing well. He is recovering, and we'll hope to see him back soon on his channel. So guys, man, all I got to say is, you know it. Let's keep loving the fish.